Following the footprints in Texas, Marcus Moore on the dinosaurs.
These are dinosaur prints that scientists say are more than 100 million years old, usually covered with water and filled with sediment.
Que comenzó a bajar la presa, a bajar, a bajar, a bajar, a bajar, hasta ahorita donde estamos. Y sigue bajando la presa.
Beneath dark waters and hidden in city sewers, there are secrets waiting to be discovered. For example, partygoers in Newcastle, UK, found an old sewer turned into a hidden underground club. In Mexico, a long-lost church appeared from underwater because of a big drought. These strange events make you wonder what else is hidden right under our feet. Could there be another world down there? Let us look closely at what's hidden in these dark waters, just sitting right below us. From sewers to sanctuaries. In 2017, city officials in Newcastle had to check the sewers. They walked through dirty water in underground tunnels and were surprised to find 200 people having a party, a rave, in the sewers. The people at the party didn't seem to mind the location and said it didn't smell bad, which let them enjoy their unique party spot. However, the police weren't happy. They were concerned about the noise, the disruption, and the safety risks of having such an event. This event was an odd moment in the city's history, making many wonders if these kinds of secret gatherings continued or just became more hidden. In a completely different setting, in Fujian Province, China, a bizarre incident involved a cow, typically weighing between 1,000 to 4,000 pounds. A farmer named Shang Shu had lost his cow and searched everywhere for 4 days. Just when he was about to give up, he found the cow stuck in a manhole. It was a strange and confusing sight. How did such a large animal end up in such a narrow and unlikely place? The rescue of the cow was not just a relief, but also a story of unexpected survival. These incidents aren't just odd stories, they reflect how humans and animals interact with their changing environments. Whether it's choosing to party in a sewer or a cow ending up in a manhole, these stories show how life can be unpredictable and sometimes strange. They make us think about how people and animals adapt to the surrounding spaces, often in surprising ways. Each story adds to our understanding of the weird and wonderful ways our world works, reminding us that adventure and the unexpected can be found just below the surface, waiting to be discovered. Imagine a peaceful countryside interrupted by the sound of a cow mooing from beneath the ground. It turns out a cow had somehow managed to get its head stuck in a manhole. You might wonder how such a large animal, usually seen calmly grazing in fields, could end up in such a strange and precarious situation. The locals, surprised and curious, came together and used a simple winch system to pull the cow out. After being rescued, the cow simply went back to grazing, seemingly unfazed by its recent ordeal. Halfway across the world in Mexico, a different but equally surprising story unfolds. There's a church that usually lies hidden underwater in a reservoir, showing only its top part. Built in the 16th century, this church was once a vibrant center for a community that has since disappeared. But due to a severe drought in 2023, the water levels dropped so much that the entire structure of the church was exposed. People could now see it in full and even walk around it. This church wasn't always underwater. It was originally built on dry land where people from the nearby town would gather for worship. However, in 1966, the area was intentionally flooded to create a dam for generating electricity. This action submerged the church and erased the town from the map, all in the name of progress and modern energy needs. As the church appears during times of drought, it invites visitors to explore its old walls and consider what was lost for the sake of new developments. This story, like that of the cow, shows how unexpected and odd situations can arise from the interactions between humans and nature. Both stories highlight the theme of being out of place, whether it's a cow in a manhole or a church underwater. These events are not just curious incidents, but also poignant reminders of how human actions can disrupt the natural order and how nature itself can unexpectedly reveal these disruptions. They encourage us to think about the balance between development and preserving history and nature. As we reflect on these unusual tales, they teach us about resilience, of a cow returning to its routine and a church withstanding years underwater. They also prompt us to consider the broader impacts of our decisions on our environment and heritage. How often a major drought leads to a surprising discovery seems almost comical. It's as if nature, feeling a bit guilty for being so harsh, decides to throw us a fascinating find. In 2022, park rangers in a Texas state park came across something remarkable after 2 long years of very little rain. The dry weather had caused a river to shrink so much that it revealed ancient dinosaur tracks hidden until then. These tracks, thought to be over 113 million years old, were likely made by a dinosaur called Acrocanthosaurus, also known as the high-spined lizard. The Acrocanthosaurus was a giant. It stood about 15 feet tall at the hips and was as long as a school bus. Imagine it weighing as much as 3 small cars. This dinosaur had huge spines sticking up from its back, which might have supported a muscle ridge. Some scientists think this might have helped the dinosaur support its massive tail, while others guess it could have been used to show off or even help keep the dinosaur cool. But let's think about the story here. Just as the river reveals these secrets, we're forced to wonder what else might be hidden under our feet, waiting for the next big environmental change to bring it to light. It's as if these discoveries are lined up to give us something marvelous to focus on, taking our minds off the ongoing climate crisis, even if just for a moment. Let's explore what the past tells us about our future. The resurfacing of the Spanish Stonehenge. The dolmen of Guadalperral has a story that's both intriguing and a bit confusing. Set in a remote part of Spain, this circle of tall stones standing 6 feet high has been compared to the famous Stonehenge in England, yet it's shrouded in much more mystery. Some experts think this site might have been used long ago as a graveyard, a place for religious rituals, or perhaps a market where people met to trade, given its location near a once busy river. Imagine the enormous effort it took to move these giant granite rocks from miles away. The builders of this ancient site must have worked incredibly hard, perhaps struggling under the hot sun to place each stone just right without really knowing that thousands of years later, we'd still be puzzled by their purpose. When German archaeologist Hugo Obermeier found the site in the 1920s, he probably didn't realize just how significant it was. Unfortunately, its full importance wasn't recognized at that time, and it wasn't until much later that we began to understand just a little more about it. In a somewhat ironic turn of events, in 1963, the site was intentionally flooded to create the Valdecañas Reservoir, effectively burying the dolmen underwater. For many years, the monument was hidden beneath the surface, with only the tips of the tallest stones peeking out above the water, like clues to a lost treasure waiting to be rediscovered. The prolonged drought in 2019 that hit much of Europe brought the water levels down and revealed the dolmen of Guadalperral once more. This peek into the past sparked a renewed interest in the stones. Both locals and archaeologists started calling for efforts to move the stones to a safer location to prevent them from being lost again under the water. However, moving an entire ancient monument isn't easy. It involves complicated plans, risks of damaging the site, and a lot of money. These challenges have prevented any real progress in moving the site, so for now, the dolmen remains where it is, occasionally re-emerging when the water levels drop. This situation highlights a curious dilemma. The reservoir, originally created by humans trying to manipulate nature, now controls how and when we can see this piece of our ancient history. It's a bit of a catch-22, where the solution to protect the site is as complex as the history of the site itself. Every time the waters recede, it's as if history is giving us another chance to connect with our past, Yet each time the waters rise, that connection is threatened again. This ongoing battle between nature and heritage is not only challenging, but also a poignant reminder of the delicate balance we must maintain to preserve our cultural legacies. Imagine stumbling upon a massive, disgusting blockage in the sewers of Sidmouth, a charming seaside town in Devon, UK. This wasn't just any blockage, it was a fatberg, a giant lump of fat, wet wipes, and other stuff that should never have been flushed down the toilet. Found in 2018, this particular fatberg was so huge and foul that it took workers 8 long weeks to break it down and clear it away. This incident is a glaring example of how carelessness in waste disposal can lead to significant, nasty problems right beneath our feet. This monstrous fatberg in Sidmouth isn't an isolated case. Over in London, the sewers revealed their own bizarre finds. In 2014, workers discovered half of a minicar stuck in the sewer, along with other unexpected items like a prosthetic leg, dead farm animals, and even a Honda motorbike. These items contributed to a whopping 52,000 blockages in that year, costing the city about £70 million to clear. These incidents highlight a severe issue with how waste is handled and the enormous cost of neglect. Shifting our gaze to the US, beneath the glitzy exterior of Las Vegas, a different form of neglect persists in the city's dark tunnels. Here, the mole people, real individuals, not mythical creatures, live hidden from the surface world. These people, often forgotten by society, have taken refuge in the maze of tunnels under the city, pushed there by harsh economic realities. Their situation was first brought to light in the 1990s and remains a stark reminder of the depth of urban poverty and exclusion. Meanwhile, halfway around the world in China, an unexpected drought in 2022 lowered the Yangtze River to reveal ancient Buddhist statues near Chongqing. These statues, believed to be 600 years old, emerged as the water levels receded, offering a glimpse into the past and a reminder of the unpredictable impacts of climate change on cultural heritage. Back in the US, in Colorado, a 2016 project to drain a lake for maintenance work led to an unexpected historical discovery. A century-old train trestle, buried and forgotten, was uncovered. Dating back to 1909, this rediscovery of past infrastructure prompted a re-evaluation of what might lie hidden beneath modern developments. Now, see what surprising things we keep finding again and again. LA's darkest submerged secrets. In Los Angeles, a similar revelation occurred at Echo Park Lake. During a cleanup in 2011, workers dredged up a surprising assortment of items from the lake bed, including a parking enforcement boot, a payphone, and even a whole toilet. The array of items pulled from the lake was a bizarre showcase of the random and often irresponsible disposal of waste in urban areas. The cleanup underscored the ongoing challenges of keeping communal and natural spaces clean in the face of urban activity. Each of these stories, from the fatbergs of the UK to the mole people of Las Vegas, from ancient statues along the Yangtze to submerged train trestles in Colorado and the littered depths of Echo Park Lake. It paints a vivid picture of our complicated relationship with our environment and history. They serve as stark reminders of the consequences of neglect and oversight in managing our cities and their hidden depths. What we ignore or forget, whether it's waste in our sewers or people in need, doesn't just disappear. It tends to resurface, bringing with it revelations and repercussions that often catch us unprepared. These tales are not just about the physical remnants found underground, but also about reflecting on our actions and their impacts on our surroundings and society. When the North Salmon River, fed by heavy rains and melting snow from the nearby Cascade Mountains, began to swell, it seemed like the wilderness was trying to reclaim its space. However, human determination to control nature was about to dramatically change the fate of the quaint town of Detroit that sat in the river's winding path. In 1938, the US Congress, showing a mix of vision and short-sightedness for quick benefits, passed the Flood Control Act. This act included plans to build the Detroit Dam, a massive proposed structure meant to be 1,580 feet wide and 360 feet tall. The creation of this dam was more than just a building project. It was a decision that doomed old Detroit. The town was to be drowned under the guise of progress and managing floods. The people living in Detroit were forced to leave, their homes sacrificed for what was deemed greater good. Nowadays, the ghostly remains of old Detroit only peek out when the waters temporarily recede, revealing the ruins of what used to be a lively community, now reduced to a mere anecdote in the story of great engineering feats. Elsewhere in Europe, the Danube River, which has witnessed the rise and fall of many empires, recently unveiled some grim secrets from its depths. Near the Serbian town of Prahovo, remains of World War II surfaced, a group of over 20 German warships, some still filled with old munitions and explosives. Even though decades have passed since the end of the war, these dangerous relics appeared again, prompting a massive cleanup operation. Serbian authorities ended up spending an astonishing $30 million to deal with this leftover mess from the 1940s, a stark reminder of how past wars continue to cost future generations. In 2019, a severe drought in Thailand exposed something extraordinary. A 13-foot-tall headless statue of Buddha, imposing yet incomplete. This statue was once part of a temple that, along with the village around it, had been submerged in 1999 to make way for another dam. As the waters dropped, the Buddha statue became a gathering spot for people who saw the drought as a temporary blessing. This chance to see and touch their submerged history drew many to the site. The headless Buddha stood as a poignant reminder of what had been lost in the name of progress, and perhaps as a symbol of the enduring spirit of forgotten places. Back in 1992, another small village faced a fate similar to old Detroit. The Spanish village of Aceredo was deliberately flooded to create a reservoir, justified by the usual talk of necessary sacrifice for the greater good. For years, Aceredo remained hidden underwater, forgotten by the world until a severe drought in 2022 lowered the reservoir's water levels to just 15% of its full capacity. The reappearance of Aceredo was like a scene from a forgotten story, strange yet fascinating, drawing back those who once lived there and newcomers struck by its haunting beauty. The resurfacing of the village was not just a geographic event, but a poignant reminder of the communities that lie hidden beneath our man-made constructions. It serves as a reminder of the fleeting nature of our attempts to control nature and the lasting scars they leave on both the landscape and collective memory. In the wide, empty space where a bustling village once stood, the ruins of Acero now stretch out, a stark reminder of what was left behind. Buildings with collapsed roofs and a fountain that still runs stand as silent witnesses to a sudden departure, creating a scene of abandonment and decay. An old car, rusted and unmoving, lies forgotten, marking the passage of time in this deserted place. For those who once lived here, the occasional return of Acero from beneath the waters brings mixed feelings. It's not really a happy reunion, rather, it feels more like revisiting a painful part of their past. Seeing their old homes reappear briefly before being swallowed up again by rising waters stirs up feelings of sadness, mixed with a strange sense of nostalgia. Each resurgence is like watching a replay of their former lives, only to have it disappear again. Meanwhile, the story of Matt Walker and his lost wedding ring adds another layer to the human experience of attachment and loss. His gold ring fell off while he was swimming in a large, murky lake, seemingly lost forever in the vast, dark waters. The lake, over 800 feet long and wide, held his precious ring captive, making it seem impossible to find. The emotional weight of losing such a treasured item was heavy indeed. However, when the lake was drained 2 months later, hope resurfaced. Through persistent efforts and the help of metal detectorists who scoured the muddy bottom, the ring was miraculously recovered among other forgotten trash. This small victory against the odds was a sweet end to what seemed a hopeless search. Next, let's look at how people adapt to changes around them. Reviving the ghosts of Bombay Beach. On another front, Bombay Beach tells a tale of decline and transformation. Once a vibrant resort town celebrated for its beauty and bustling tourist activity, it fell victim to environmental issues that turned it into a ghost town. Toxic waters began to encroach, turning the once thriving community into a desolate area. Yet, in an unexpected twist, this abandoned town found a new identity as a hub for quirky art installations. Artists and the homeless alike are drawn to this place, finding inspiration and refuge among the ruins. The town has become a canvas for creativity, where art and life continue in the shadow of past glories and present challenges. These stories, from Akero to Bombay Beach, weave a complex tapestry of human resilience and the emotional landscapes we navigate. They reflect our deep connections to places and possessions, and our constant struggle against the forces of nature and time. We cling to memories, fight for recovery, and find new meanings in the ruins of our past. Through these tales, we see the enduring power of hope and the importance of memory, even in places where the past seems irretrievable. The stories of a lost ring, a resurrected village, and a reinvented town are more than just accounts of things lost and regained. They are poignant reminders of our unyielding desire to hold onto, reclaim, and reimagine what matters to us, even in the face of overwhelming odds. In 2016, a group of artists and thinkers saw an opportunity in Bombay Beach, a place that was mostly abandoned and forgotten. They started to change it by turning old, unused buildings into spaces where they could show their art. One of their projects is the Bombay Beach Drive-In, where they set up old cars in front of a large white trailer that acts as a screen. This place isn't just about watching movies, it's about bringing people together to appreciate art and the community. Despite its remote location and the tough living conditions in the desert, Bombay Beach is starting to come back to life. Property prices are climbing, which suggests that people are interested in living here again. The town now has essential stores and even a small restaurant, which makes daily life easier for the residents. However, there's a nagging question. Is this revival just a temporary phase? The town has been through boom and bust before, so it's hard not to wonder if this resurgence will last or fade away like it did previously. Meanwhile, in 2022, Lake Mead in the United States revealed something eerie due to a severe drought. As the water levels dropped, human remains that had been hidden underwater for many years were suddenly exposed. These remains sparked a lot of curiosity and speculation about whom they might be and what their stories were. It's a grim reminder that the lake holds many secrets from the past. In Paris, the Canal Saint-Martin was drained again in 2016, a project that dates back to orders from Napoleon Bonaparte. Every time they empty the canal, they find all sorts of things at the bottom. In the past, people have found valuable items like gold coins and even old war artifacts. But in 2016, the items found were less glamorous. Dozens of bicycles from a rental service, scooters, baby strollers, office chairs, shopping carts, and traffic cones. These items, along with lots of bottles and plastic trash, show a different kind of history, a glimpse into the everyday life and waste of city residents. These stories from Bombay Beach, Lake Mead, and Canal Saint-Martin show how humans continue to impact and shape the places around them. Whether it's turning a deserted town into an artistic hub, uncovering hidden histories in a drying lake, or cleaning up a historic canal, these efforts highlight our ongoing relationship with the environment. Each project, whether it's driven by art, curiosity, or necessity, peels back layers of history and asks us to think about how we interact with our surroundings. What we find often teaches us about our past mistakes and challenges us to think about our future actions. Imagine the complicated and expensive process that took place over 3 long months, costing nearly €1 million, a sum that at the time equaled over 11 million. This financial drain happens every time Canal Saint-Martin needs a thorough cleaning. What do they find at the bottom? It's usually bicycles, suggesting either a lot of thefts or a strange local habit where bicycles inevitably end up in the water. Now let's shift our gaze to another grand cleaning episode, this one much more dramatic and across the ocean. In 1969, engineers managed to do something almost unbelievable. They stopped the flow of Niagara Falls. They didn't just slow it down a bit, they brought it to a standstill by dumping 27,000 tons of rock into the river. The idea was as bold as it was bizarre, shutting down a natural wonder to take a peek underneath. At first, all they found was a massive collection of coins and random trash, almost like a snapshot of the uncreative ways people dispose of things. But then, things took a darker turn. Hidden beneath the water, revealed only when the falls were stopped, were the remains of 2 people. These weren't characters from ancient tales or folklore. They were probably just ordinary people who had tragically fallen victim to the powerful waters. Their emergence from the depths turned the scene from a simple cleanup to something out of a mystery story, showing a more sinister side of the Niagara Falls, a site that has attracted tourists since the 17th century. This grim discovery makes you think a bit more critically about the nature of human curiosity and our love for dramatic reveals. We manipulate the natural world to uncover its hidden aspects, yet in doing so, we often end up learning more about our own strange interests and sometimes disturbing fascinations. What else might be lurking under the picture-perfect views and rainbow-sprayed mists of Niagara? Maybe it's better if some mysteries are left unsolved, hidden away from our eager prying. After all, not every secret needs to be revealed, especially if the truth adds a layer of sorrow to a place known for its breathtaking beauty. Let's think about the small discoveries that tell big stories. The surprising discovery beneath Brazil's drought. When a severe drought hit Brazil, it revealed something quite unexpected, a rock covered with carvings of human faces. This wasn't just any ordinary rock, it turned out to be a significant archaeological find. Located along a stretch of shore called Pont d'Age, which leads into the Amazon, this rock suddenly stood out as something special, though to the untrained eye, it would seem just like any other boulder. However, one can't help but be a bit skeptical about such discoveries. The rock, which had been ignored and perhaps even stepped over for years, was suddenly declared a key piece of archaeological history. This dramatic change in its status might feel a bit exaggerated. Isn't it interesting how a simple, weathered rock can suddenly be seen as a treasure trove of historical insights? Archaeologist Jaime Oliveira suggests that these carvings were made by ancient people who lived in the Amazon over 2,000 years ago during the pre-Columbian era. This thought is fascinating and stirs the imagination, picturing ancient artists carefully crafting each face into the rock. Yet this story also makes one wonder about the ease with which we accept these tales of the distant past. The carvings look surprisingly modern, which adds a layer of mystery. Were our ancestors capable of such detailed and artistic expressions, or are we reading too much into simple marks? The idea that these rock carvings connect us with ancient civilizations is captivating. It paints a picture of a thriving, culturally rich society in what we now call the Amazon, long before modern civilization took hold. However, romantic as this idea might be, it also overshadows the practical, critical analysis that such archaeological finds require. We should be cautious, asking tough questions rather than readily accepting every theory. Each new discovery like this rock is quickly linked to a broader story of human history in that area, often without ample critical examination. Whether you're a history enthusiast or a professional archaeologist, it's easy to get carried away by the excitement of adding another piece to the historical puzzle. However, we must be wary of jumping to conclusions based on limited evidence, as this can lead to misunderstandings about our past. This tendency to romanticize archaeological findings is not unique to this case. It's something that often occurs in the field, as each new find is eagerly incorporated into our existing understanding of history, sometimes without sufficient scrutiny. This particular rock carving serves not just as a window into the past, but also as a mirror reflecting our own desires and biases in interpreting history. It reminds us that while archaeological discoveries are important, the way we interpret and understand these findings is equally significant. We must strive to balance our enthusiasm for uncovering the past with a disciplined approach to understanding its true nature. Humans have always felt a need to leave their mark on places they've visited or lived. From the earliest days, people have made drawings, carved into rocks, or written their names to show they were there. This need to leave a trace of ourselves seems to be a way to prove we existed, to make sure we're not forgotten after we're gone. But one has to wonder whether this urge to leave a permanent sign of our existence is actually important or just shows our fear of being forgotten. What is really interesting, though, is how these markings, whether they are ancient drawings or names carved in wood, can reveal forgotten stories when nature, like water going down, shows us what's been hidden. These moments make us think about what other secrets might be hidden around us, waiting to be discovered as things change with the weather or the environment. As we think about what the future might uncover, it's nice to share stories of what we've already found. Many people have found surprising things in lakes or rivers, a piece of old metal, bits of old pottery, each piece telling a bit of a story from the past. Even if these finds seem small, they remind us that our waters are not just full of water. They hold stories of the past. Why not share the most interesting or strange thing you've found in the water? It could be something ancient, or maybe something left behind by someone not so long ago. These discoveries might seem small, but they are part of the bigger story of all humans. They connect us to people from the past who also felt the need to leave something behind. So as you think about your own finds, why not learn more about this topic? There's a lot of history hidden under the water and so many stories that can be told. Let's keep looking for these hidden pieces of the past. They help us understand the long story of humans better, and every little thing we find adds to our big story. Be careful as you look around in the water. You never know what you might find, and each discovery is another piece of our shared human history. What are your thoughts on the ethics of removing artifacts from their original locations? Should we leave history untouched? Like, comment, and subscribe to join the discussion.